Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this time with us. We're going to have a great show today. Once again, folks, guess what we're talking about? And this is the second time in as many weeks. There is another school shooting. There's another school shooting in Florida. And, what are we going to do about it? Are Americans any different than people around the world where these things just don't ever happen? What is really happening in America today? Why do we see these things? What is it within our psyche that somehow makes us this violent a nation, even as we speak about other countries being so violent themselves? Have you heard of, not involving political issues, any country where these types of events occur, where schools are shot up? But anyway, before we get started with the program, folks, please remember, let me ask you guys, and I'll be saying this frequently within the show because we need your help as far as sharing these videos based on the changes that had occurred in Facebook. We need people to actively share these particular videos, these particular live shows, so that they will get traction. We're going to talk about some very important issues, and these are issues that we hope permeate the entire, not only progressive space, but other spaces that should, in fact, be progressive. Now, today's topic is, and sometimes I get, it seems like I hit this topic ad nauseum, but look, November is around the corner, and I really don't want us to pull defeat out of victory just because too much of us are scared away from speaking our true belief as to the failures of what is occurring, as to the failure of what is occurring to ensure that progressives get a victory, a necessary victory, in my opinion, to save the country in 2018. So stay with me, please. Again, do remember to share these videos. I need you to share now. As you're coming into the program, please share the videos because that's the only way we can get around the Facebook, the new Facebook algorithm and other issues with these programs. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that. Right now, I think our democracy is in danger. I think, and I do not say that without thinking. I do not say this just off the cuff. But when you have the means of dispersing information controlled by a few, it becomes a problem. And it is essential. It is essential that we take this very seriously as far as it's concerned. And let me explain what I'm talking about. As it turns out, Politics Done Right and many other live programs, they were getting quite a bit of coverage, or what we call organic coverage, on Facebook and on these other networks just fine. Facebook came out and said that they were changing the way they delivered messages organically, and they're going to bring to people more of the things that they want. But of course, you can determine what people want, whether they stay on your videos long enough. Maybe they'll stay 2 minutes on your video, 5 minutes. Some people stay the entire hour. It is all dependent. But what has occurred to programs like Politics Done Right and other progressive programs that have been in contact with me is that they've noticed that the reach of their programs have dramatically dropped. Politics Done Right could do 3,000 to 10,000 views, okay, over in a very short period of time, as far as getting people to see these videos and getting these people's getting the people's attention. Overnight, as soon as that went into effect, we dropped by 90%. 90% coverage was dropped And the excuse that many are trying to pass on is that somehow that coverage drop, the sole purpose or the sole intent of that coverage drop is because people are going to get in their newsfeed more things that they want. Well, if they hadn't wanted Politics Done Right before or other political shows like this before, they would not have stayed after it got into their feed to watch it. What we have, and I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just an ancillary occurrence because of the change that it hits progressive political shows more. I'm not sure exactly what the reason for that is, but it is occurring. And it's not only occurring to Politics Done Right, it is occurring to many other programs of this type. The only way to mitigate this in the short term is for folks who like Politics Done Right, who are seeing Politics Done Right, to share Politics Done Right, whether you used to share it before or not. Many people just assume they want to come and watch a show and they want to leave. They don't want that extra effort into sharing on their page or sharing on their on their feed or anything of that nature. But what we have to ask you, those of us that are trying to promote truth, those of us that are trying to promote the progressive message, is that we do need the assistance now of our viewerships, those that happen to get the immediate feed that, okay, it's on air, to go ahead and spread the word and share it as many times in as many places as you can. The title of the show today, we have been warning about a Republican resurgence, and it is happening. I'm going to get some folks who are going to say, well, there you go again. There you go again. And to which I said all of the times, one of the predictors that I had back in 2016 is that Donald Trump had a good chance of winning. And the reason I predicted back in the 2016 that Donald Trump could possibly win is not because of what the polls were saying. The people that attacked me at Daily Kos, the people that attacked me at egbertowillies.com, they actually challenged my scientific bona fides. They said, are you like the right wing now, who looking at polls, looking at all these positive polls that say you're not that where the race is at? And I had to remind all these folks that the polls are polling likely voters. The polls are polling people who the polls think they know about. It is essential, if you have a change in demographic, a change in market, a change in set of people who are being influenced, as occurred in Michigan, as occurred in Wisconsin, as occurred in Pennsylvania, where it is evident that there were certain people micro-targeted, maybe by Russian bots, but definitely micro-targeted in a particular manner, that gave Hillary Clinton the loss in those areas, which was enough for an electoral college win by Donald Trump. This is science, you know. The polls have the way that they measure, and they have a model that they create. They figure we're going to have X percentage of rural, and all that sort of stuff. However, if rural overperformed, if all these other areas overperformed because they were incited to overperform, and by the way, we want everybody to vote. We do want everybody to vote. So, I mean, but if one group overperforms because, and I better back up when I said we want everybody to vote, but we want all sides also to encourage their bases to vote. What occurred in, let's say, Michigan is Hillary Clinton did nothing in Michigan. It was just hers. What occurred in several areas with the black vote? Oh, the black vote is ours. We don't have to go ahead and invest in those companies that work in black communities to help bring out those people. We don't have to invest in Latino companies who know their communities to get those people out to vote. We don't have to invest in these different areas, and they pay for it. The truth of the matter is the party as a whole continues its same modal, and that modal, they pay some very well-connected, high-price consultants who are part of the party, and all that money that they're picking up goes in between these people back and forth. But the folks whose votes they're looking for, they don't get any of that. Those companies in those areas don't get any of those monies to activate their people. So who says that those people are going to be activated? The sad thing about it is the same people that don't get activated are some of the people that get hurt the most. And that is exactly the reason why the Democratic Party doesn't care if they invest in these people or not over the long term. Why not? Because look, the people that are going to get hurt aren't the Democrats that are the ones with the money, the Democrats that, they win whether there's Republican rule or Democratic rule. But they want full rule, right? And if all these other people come out and vote, oh, yeah, they get full rule. But if they don't, that's it. But anyhow, let's go with the program. We have been warning about Republican resurgence, and it's happening. Democrats are in trouble for 2018, and they don't get it. We actually said that back in 2016, and they didn't get it. One would think that one would cure their level of insanity to ensure that the same things aren't repeated again. I stay on this message not because I want to be a contrarian. I stay on this message not because I want to be right. I stay on this message because, for the most part, those who think this way are right, and the elections thus far has proven that. Today, when I wrote the blog of the week, well, I'll tell you about that story when I read the blog of the week. But anyhow, Democrats are in trouble for 2018, and they just don't get it. Finally, an organization who matters to the Democratic establishment is sounding the alarm. A Republican resurgence is in process. Those who continue to find a reason to not panic do so at their own peril. I want every progressive to begin to panic in a controlled manner and do what is necessary, what is necessary to curb what is occurring. This thing is not about undue fear or to depress anyone or to try to tell anyone, we're blowing it. This is all cautionary, folks. This is all saying, look, let's wake up. And if the party doesn't wake up, forget about the party. You go out there and you do what needs to be done to get progressives elected. I'm going to tell you a story in CDO2 in a little bit. I may have put that in the blog of the week. I'm not sure, but I'll check it out. And if I didn't put it in the blog of the week, I'll go ahead and tell you about that story. Americans will not abandon even a failed party to adapt to one they do not know will stand up for their own party values. That is where the country is at right now. That is why the generic ballot is approaching parity. Let's talk about that. Folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from a lot of folks. And again, folks, those of you just coming in, just tuning in, please share. There are controlling entities that are ensuring shows like this do not get the type of coverage they once got. And you have to worry about issues of this nature. You have to worry about our democracy being controlled, not only corporate controlled, but a bit worse. Share our programs, please. Share. Now, before I get to the blog of the week, I want to talk about something, because I write all my stuff at Starbucks in the mornings, and then I come back to the studio and do the show. And suffice it to say, there's a story that hit me extremely hard in the car on my way back to the studio, and it goes as follows. First of all, I have a very strong affinity to teachers. I have the utmost respect for teachers. From the time, I'm originally from Central America, Panama, and teachers in Panama at the time that I was there were some of the most revered people on the planet. You saw a teacher in the grocery store. It was, you stood up straight and you say, oh, that's my teacher, or that's my professor, or la profesora this, or la profesora that, or we had a reverence for teachers. These were the people that are moving education forward. So I have always had that. Coming to this country, it was very strange to me how teachers were treated. It was very strange to me that teachers weren't given the accolades that teachers got back home. These are the people who promote knowledge. These are the people that allow society to move forward and grow to the next level. Teachers are. I don't care if you're a kindergarten teacher, an elementary school teacher, a professor at a university, at a college, I don't care. If you're a teacher, you're special. You're the one that's moving society further. So here I am, coming back to the studio, and here's what happens. There's a story that comes out that says the second highest city to purchase a home in, or the second less affordable city for teachers right now is Denver, Colorado. To which I said, oh, really? Denver, Colorado? Teachers can't afford to buy a home in Denver, Colorado. They make between $40,000 and $60,000 to $70,000 a year. They can't afford to buy a home in Colorado because the prices of these homes have skyrocketed. And then the next part of the story started to talk about something that was benevolent. There is this, I don't know if it's a 501c3 company that comes in, but I think it's a for-profit company who's trying to sell themselves as doing a good thing for teachers. And here's what they do. Most of the times, the teachers cannot come up with the 20% down payment that they'll need for a house. Come on, at $40,000 to $60,000, you can't save the amount of money you need to save for a down payment on a house that is already inflated in price. So, and by the way, in order to get a home without having to pay something called PMI, mortgage insurance, which saves you about $300, between $200 and $300 a month. That's what that insurance costs, about $200, $300 a month. You have to put down 20% on your home. There's this company that comes about, and it says, well, we help the teachers now. What are we going to do for these great, honorable teachers? We are going to tell these teachers, you come up with 10% of the down payment. We'll come up with another 10% of the down payment. And guess what, however? If you sell that house and this house appreciates, we make the percentage. We get, I think it is 25% of the price rise of the home. Or if the house loses value, well, we lose only that percentage of the value of the home. Wow. There we have overpriced homes sold to teachers, and the teachers are going to be saved by yet another capitalist company who says, okay, we are still going to make a profit on you. Yes, we're going to. It's not really that they're giving them 10% to pay for the, for the down payment. That is their own investment. And come on, teachers are darn good risk. And the homes, given the markets, appreciate. So there we go with another company siphoning off from, in this case, teachers, but from others, the ability to further grow themselves, to further grow their capital. This company is investing to help the teachers, but in the process of helping them, making yet another profit for just throwing some bucks out there. A win-win proposition for them. Why not have a program that honor these guys for who they are, for what they do for society? Why is it that every single domain has to be in the private sector, in the capitalist sector, that infringes on one's happiness, on one's ability to attain? Why can't we have a system that takes into consideration these issues? Teachers shouldn't even be paid just $40,000 or even $60,000 in the first place when the stockbroker is going to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars for doing essentially nothing. We have a society that has a problem, people. We have been indoctrinated into believing that this is the way things are supposed to be, and this is the most efficient way to run an economy. Folks like Politics Done Right and others are trying to say there is a better way, and it has nothing to do with what others would like to call, oh, you guys are a whole bunch of Marxist communists. That is crap. It is saying, why can't we establish an economic system is not divine. An economic system is not man-made. Or rather, an economic system is human-made. It's not divine. So you make an economic system that benefits the most. You don't make an economic system where one group benefits all of the times and the rest simply beg for the crumbs. We have teachers now begging for crumbs. Teachers begging for crumbs. The stalwarts of our system, the stalwarts of our society, begging for crumbs at the behest of people who don't have half the knowledge. Generally, these folks have worked themselves into having to go ahead and be subservient to folks who just move paper. Here it is, a group of folks who care about kids, who care about moving society forward, but they are subservient to the slave master called the broker, the slave master called a corporation making a profit off of you. We have to revolutionize our thinking process. We have to be within ourselves, realize that we are being used by this particular type of economy. We have to realize that there ain't anything in there for most people. Some of you will make it. Some of you will. Some of you won't. I have a caller on, and before I get to the blog of the week, which I must get to, I don't want to have the person holding, so I want to just bring the person in for a while, and then I'll go back and do the blog of the week. Suffice it to say also, we have another shooting. So whereas most Americans want background checks and gun controls, we have a few who've hijacked the country, and we are now still attempting to fight. Just before I get to the phone, let me go ahead and go to Facebook and see if I need to talk to a few folks, introduce a few folks here before. So bear with me, folks. Remember, this show belongs to you all. I want you guys to call in and tell us things. I want you guys to call in, and I want you guys to write in as well in Facebook or elsewhere and tell us what you want, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. But, folks, I am asking you, go out there and please, it is essential that you share our shows. It is essential if we are to make a difference in this society, because trust me, we are. I don't want it to be hyperbole, but remember there was a time when only one person in the household had to work, then two. Then remember there was a time when folks could go to college without breaking the bank. Remember there was a time when you didn't have to think all day long about your debts. There were times when things weren't this bad. Welcome aboard, my good old friend, William Bill McLeod. Republican primary in 2014, 7.2% of their voters went to their primary, and that meant that they swiped the 2014 election. Bill also said, time is of essence. 2014 Dem primary, only 2.7% of registered Dems voters went to the polls in the primary. 2018 Dem primary must be moved to up to 8+% of Democratic voters. Here's what I'm saying, McLeod, Bill. No, not any 8%. We need all those voters to get to the polls. That's a responsible thing to do. Let's not encourage these people to just double their what we call pessimo. Era pessimo, the way that they went out to vote, our voters. We have to make voting for them worth something. We have to make them want to go to vote. Candidates like you, McLeod, you're doing that. Make sure that the others are doing that. Make sure that the others are encouraging people and giving people a reason to vote. The change can happen if they vote. Bruce Pollard, my good old friend. So you invest in where you lead or close, but others, well, we'll talk about that. Rayford Calloway, welcome aboard. He did not win. He stole the election. We can't have fairness in any kinds, election boards or club without diversity. All white individuals or any boards or party or no minorities is bull. I get what you're saying. He won the election based on our current methodology, my friend. And, so I don't want us to overbear on he stole the election. No. Under the current rules and all these other things, he won the election, okay? What we need to do as progressives is have the rules change to make the rules truly democratic as opposed to what occurred in the last election. Let's not fight the past battle. Let's fight where we need to go. Nowhere but the USA. William McLeod. And thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Muchísimas gracias por esa notación. Okay, let's go to 347. 347, you are on the air.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm fine. Talk to me, my friend.
Hey, the political landscape in America, like many places in the world, has become very barren. But that phrase doesn't mean that at the previous junction in time that the grass was much greener. What we had in the past was a system that excluded females, blacks, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening, just like in the school system, as blacks and other minority groups are given certain civil rights, what's happening is the public infrastructure is being destroyed.
Right.
So in the public schools, in politics, in housing, as blacks get more clout and Latinos, we see the inverse happening, and the schools failing year after year after year. And I think for many people, the political establishment has become just a buzzword for doing the same old thing. And so many people see no hope in voting because it just seems to get people nowhere. And from a progressive standpoint, the two-party system itself does seem to be flawed, because if it's just two parties, for many people, they're looking for a mix of the two parties in terms of platforms. And for some people, they don't want any of the two parties. They may want a totally new platform with new vision.
Are you there? Are you still there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let me respond to that first of all. First of all, I don't disagree with most of what you had to say. What I think is happening right now is, and I've spoken to this or written to this several times. You just made the mention about things in the past weren't as good weren't as good either. So let's not romanticize the past, and I absolutely agree with you. Now let me just give some context here, however, and that is. The system was extractive to the other for a very long time. And who is the other? People of color. The system was able to extract quite a bit in the aggregate. Okay, and the reason I'm saying in the aggregate, because anytime I make a statement like that, the first thing that comes out is, well, what about Oprah Winfrey? Well, what about Michael Jordan? What about, and they bring all these rich people of color and say, well, so this system is open to everybody. No, in the aggregate, the system has been extractive to people of color. And there is just so much you can extract in the aggregate. And what has happened to society now is because of an economic system based solely on growth. Eventually, that growth, when you maximize in the aggregate again, the growth from a select group of people, that remaining growth has to come from somewhere else. And the somewhere else that growth is coming from is now a sector of the majority population, a sector of the white population. One of the reasons within my show I constantly talk about the unification of the barrios, the ghettos, and Appalachia is because until everybody sees that we are in the same boat, and it is a system. It has nothing to do with color. Color is just the color and race and all these, and religion and all these separations are just the tool used to keep people apart so that they don't unite and destroy an evil system. So therefore, if these people ever got together, they would see that their interests are really common. I mean, they all put their pants on the same time. They all bleed red. They all have the same loves. They all have the same wants. I mean, that is one of because I interact with so many people of so many different cultures. You know, I've been lucky that I've been able to. I can go into any area and be comfortable, and people get comfortable with me, and we can talk as if there are relatively no barriers. I'm not going to be naive to say that there's absolutely no barriers. Sometimes I specifically have to say, forget who you're talking to. And just be frank, I don't judge. And I'll get the answers that I need to get then. But what you find is that from that Trump voter to the other person, they all want the same thing. What happens now is these guys are damn good at making people so darn scared. Shows like mine are trying to mitigate that. Shows like mine are trying to say, you know, that's why you see in the write-ins that I do, I cater to the Trump voter. People, why the hell are you doing that? Leave those guys alone. They're on the deplorables. They are not, you can never get them. Never say never, because if you do that, you fall into the game. You fall into the, you are a part of what the plutocracy has done. If you do that, you fall as a part of what the plutocracy has done. Now, coming to your point of view now, as far as voting, why people don't vote. Sometimes they think a duopoly is not enough. Either they want parts of the duopoly, meaning some Republican stuff, some Democratic stuff, or they want no part of the duopoly. To which I say, we can't be, look, you have dictatorships and you have democracy. Democracy requires a certain amount of a certain level of education. And I hate to put it that way, but democracy requires a certain level of education, and America has that level of education. And that's why, so far, its democracy has been relatively successful. what has occurred over the several years now is a dumbification of Americans. Americans have, after the Powell Manifesto, after Americans have had liberalized and started to become very, very smart in running their own democracy, in making sure there was equity, in having labor unions, in having women's rights to vote, in having minority, after this liberalization occurred, the Powell Manifesto said that is the end of business as we know it. Because as people get more intelligent, they realize that what we are doing is stealing from them. What we are doing is ripping them off. What we are doing is telling them we're using all their excess labor, and their excess labor belongs to us. The extra billions that Bill Gates has, the extra $1 billion, the extra billions of dollars that the owner of Amazon has, Jeff Bezos have, that is not their money. It isn't. It is their money because of an economic system that says that is how we run things. But when there are people from Amazon starving, when there are people that work for Amazon that are starving, when there are people that are working for Bill Gates that are making less than optimal, it means that their excess wealth is taken from them. And these are the things that shows like mine are trying to change in the psyche of people so that they understand that we are being taken. And it's not a race thing. It's not a religion thing. It's not any of these things. Those are just the markers that are used to separate. Those are just the markers that are used to change things. Those are just the markers that are used to get us not. So come on in, and then I'll go to the blog of the week if you want to add to that, sir.
Yeah. The system, without question, is structured in such a manner that the castes are pitted against each other.
Right.
And by doing so, the purely capitalistic structure ensures that instead of unifying on common grounds and working together, whether it's in Appalachia or whether it's black Muslims or white Muslims or atheists or LGBT or Latino or Puerto Rican, Dominican, black, what happens is they fight each other.
Right.
And in fighting each other, they point the fingers at each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on a radio show a few months ago, and I was the same thing you're saying. I was mentioning it's a mind game. It doesn't mean that skin color doesn't matter, because a lot of people die and suffer because of skin color. Nor does it not mean that gender doesn't matter, because a lot of females are paid in certain sectors less than males. But these are just the tools that the ultra-rich use. And during slavery, you even had some black slave masters that were rich. So when people use the argument, well, you have some rich blacks, well, there were always rich blacks. In fact, in the history of humanity, the richest man ever was Mansa Musa from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did was he took the wealth of his region to Mecca, and he gave it to basically the Arabian religious ideology people.
What is his name?
So, yeah, we need to... Pardon?
What was his name?
Mansa Musa.
And who was he again?
No one in history... He was the leader of a region where there was a lot of gold.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was he made a trek from his West African region to Mecca. Mm-hmm. And he took so much gold that he destabilized the economy of many of the nations and tribes, because he had so much gold with him. Well, Bill Gates and all of them put together, even with Jeff Bezos, couldn't equate to what Mansa Musa was worth, right? Just like the most intelligent, wisest man ever was Imhotep of Egypt, who was a philosopher, a writer, surgeon, researcher, etc. But this history isn't taught, because once we learn the truth that we all have some greatness that came from Africa and then we migrated out, then we don't see that we're all Homo sapiens sapiens. One big misnomer that occurs is when people hear that human bones were found in Europe or human bones were found in the Pacific Islands, what they don't realize is that it's not talking about us. There are different groups of humans.
Right.
Homo sapiens sapiens is us, not Homo Neanderthal. So some archaeologists and news outlets love to confuse people by letting them think, oh, well, you're a different type of Homo sapiens sapien. No, you're not. You're the same It's just that the new bones that are often found aren't you. They're people from the Homo line, but they're not Homo sapiens sapiens. Once we know we're all African, then from there we can build and unite, even with our slight differences. Have your own religion, have your own gender identity, but come together on pollution, free food for the poor, etc.
What is your name, sir?
I'm Hotep.
One of the things there's a woman who gave this show some kudos yesterday that I thanked her for, and I said, I have some of the best listeners on the planet, and I really mean that, because and like I told her as well, one of the great things about I like with Politics Done Right is it's a learning experience. It's a bi-directional learning experience, and I just learned a lot. I'd like to ask you a favor, and that is, I don't know if you've liked our page or if you've been on our page, but if you go to Facebook, the Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies page, I'd love you to put that person's name, the two people's names that you referenced there. I don't have, I'd love for you to put it in there so that we can have some more of that subject discussed, because again, that is how we open minds, and that is how we actually show folks that we are in this boat together. Let's not allow the plutocracy to do what it has done for centuries. We need to take back control, well, not take back, we need to take control as a society, as a democracy. Would you like to stay on as we go to the blog of the week and then make comments?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put your mic on hold, and then we're going to go to the blog of the week, and then we'll move on. But I ask you to go to the page and put some of that information in there for us, because again, that was some telling and some telling information. But folks, let me tell you, I think you know what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, I want to remind you guys, the new ones that are coming on board, we get rotations. Please remember to go ahead and share these videos. Please go ahead and share these blogs of the week. Please go ahead and share the show. That is how we are going to make a difference in society. That is how we are going to change the country. That is our goal. That is what we will do. Name of the blog: Trump and the Republicans are on the rise, and we warned about it. And it goes as follows. Every time I warned about Republicans poised to make a comeback, many said I was either a pessimist, a person unable to read the real sentiment of the country, or I was creating disagreement among Democrats. No, that's not true. I simply feared that Democrats thought they were going to coast to victory. I knew that, unseen to most, the dollars of the plutocracy was at work distributing false narratives directly to Americans while circumventing the noise on cable news. These guys operate in churches, community events, and many other local venues. I see it firsthand here in my very conservative community, Kingwood, Texas. So while the Democratic Party establishment continue to operate like a closed cabal, unable to change with the times, a party, the Republican Party, with terrible policies can continue to construct wins. I wrote the piece, Democrats Pulling Defeat Out of a Sure Win. No blue wave unless, and in that I said, if Democrats are to revive the possibility of a blue wave, the time is running out as Republicans. The time is running out as Republicans. Let's back up here. The time is running out. I got a little interruption. Okay. If Democrats are to revive the possibility of a blue wave, the time is running out as Republicans are framing a better message, even if built on lies. They are even out messaging Democrats on the current shutdown of a government that they control totally. So what that was referring to the last shutdown that occurs, that the Democrats simply blew it both in execution, pre, post, and during. In that particular blog, I explained what they should have done before the shutdown, what they should have done during the shutdown, and what they should have done after the shutdown, none of which they did. They simply let things happen. They weren't preparing people for what all of this stuff meant, so therefore they gave the narrative to the Republicans and Donald Trump, who summarily said, we won, which they did, and who summarily said, they shut this stuff down and they got nothing for it, which they didn't. There was a whole lot of other things that they could have done. Anyhow, continuing. I got a lot of flack for that piece. I followed it up with, are Democrats once again pulling defeat from what should be a sure victory? I pointed out the following. The right is in control of this county, not because they support values most Americans want, but the semblance of what Americans think they need, a semblance of strength. It does not take a lot of money to get a message and the proper narrative to the masses. So that isn't the problem. It takes vision. Democrats should leverage independent media. It takes vision. Democrats should leverage independent media, alternative media, social media, and other avenues to reach people. Let me stop right there. I can't tell you, we've had a good platform for a very, very long time. We have a huge progressive base, both on Facebook, YouTube, and other places. That is, when I say huge, I mean relative to what one person plus can have. Okay, a pretty large base of over, combined over, I don't know, 60, 70, 80,000 people that we are connected to. Actually, it's more than 80,000, but whatever that is. You have to ask the question, how comes we don't have a part of the Democratic Party that says, okay, let's find all these different avenues that have these local programs, these national programs within the internet space, within the independent media space. Let's find these guys and let's go ahead and through these guys, work with these guys to get certain things done. Has that ever happened? Not really. The consultants don't think about politics done right. The consultants don't think about TYT. The consultants don't think about any of that. All they think about is doing the same things they've always done on TV, which their friends make the commissions for TV or whatever. They do everything the same way that they've always done it, and they continue to lose in the process. Okay, so here's that sentence again. It takes vision. Democrats should leverage independent media, alternative media, social media, and other avenues to reach people. But they don't. They are stuck with the same high-priced consultants that have lost elections state by state and federally. Anyone watching network TV likely saw ads promoting the successes of the tax cut scam. They likely saw ads of Trump of Trump's economic successes, even though they pale next to Obama's, even in the first year. I mean, there's a print ad, I think, not a print ad, a print space in, I think it was Newsweek or one of the others, that compared the successes of Obama's first year, which was during terrible times. You remember the crash of 2008? And when he came into power in 2009, we were still on the downslope, completely on the downslope. And even in that year, Obama beat what Donald Trump supposedly accomplished in 2017. So anyone watching network TV likely saw ads promoting the successes of the tax cut scam. They likely saw ads of Trump's economic successes, even though they pale next to Obama's. Active engagement and repetition of these narratives are seeds and fertilizer that blossom at election time, and we are living one side who are much better. We are living with one side who are much better political formers than the other. One side is a much better political former than the other. Well, one of the leading Democratic super PACs is sounding the alarm. McClatchy reports the following. A leading Democratic group, Priorities USA, is warning party leaders they could squander a strong political climate in 2018 if they don't start to emphasize pocketbook issues over loose and unfocused critiques of Donald Trump. According to internal polling by the super PAC, President Trump's approval rating climbed to 44% in the first week of February compared to 53% who disapprove. That mirrors Trump's improving position in public polls. In November, the same survey found his approval rating at 40%, with 54% disapproving. The group's survey also showed the Democratic Party's generic ballot advantage had shrunk, with 46% preferring Democrats to 42% for Republicans. Okay? In other words, for all practical purposes, statistically insignificant. The memo says that a broad range of metrics show the political climate is still favorable for Democrats, but it also makes an unambiguous diagnosis for Trump's recent rise. Democrats this year have stopped focusing on economic and healthcare issues, topics that demonstrably hurt his approval during his first year in office. Priorities polling found that while people in November readily mentioned Trump's healthcare and tax reform measures, by February they were instead more cognizant of his tweets. This man knows what he's doing. He knows that the media is going to hyperventilate over a tweet. So if he sends out a crazy tweet, nobody talks about healthcare, nobody talks about the economy, but they're talking about that silly tweet. And instead of us going on TV and saying, well, Donald Trump tweeted something silly, but let us tell you what he should have been tweeting about. He should have been saying that his health care bill has taken X amount of people off of health insurance. He should have said that his tax cut scheme is going to cause interest rates to go up, is going to cause inflation to go up. That he should have said that tax cut scam also will ensure that the medical bills that you are going to pay in October is going to be higher. You tell people this right now. When those things occur, they don't blame Democrats, because at that point, Trump would be ready to say, that is happening because Democrats didn't allow us to overturn Obamacare, and that's why it's happening. You would have already laid the narrative. I said some of that yesterday. I've said some of that in these different blogs. But folks, the Democrats are simply not putting out the narrative and a consistent narrative to win in November. And that is a complaint. And you know what? The priority poll shows exactly what I have been saying for weeks. It shows exactly what I've been saying for weeks. So here it goes. Democrats, the memo said, must not allow themselves to be sidetracked and distracted by Trump's latest tweets. While still on track for a successful November, which I am really not going to say that, because this article says Democrats are still on track for a successful November. They just don't understand, if they really say that, how powerful the brothers, the Koch brothers are, with the money machine that they're generating to go ahead and influence all these elections. They also don't know how powerful the social media is going to be, because already, as I've mentioned with this show, the fact that shows like Politics Done Right have been affected by a social media change in 2018, a show that is out there trying to inform folks of these things that we're talking about, have taken such a hit because of another corporation who decides that they're going to change an algorithm in 2018, an election year, that reduces programs like the reach of programs like this in this year, tells you something, my friends. And this is not about being hypersensitive about or being, not hypersensitive is the wrong word. The word is thinking that there, you know the word that I'm talking about, that there's somehow some type of collusion or otherwise. That's not what this is about. This is just reality. Why is it that this is occurring now? Continuing. While still on track for a successful November, the extent of the Democratic gains will be blunted if Democrats do not re-engage more aggressively in speaking to economic and health care priorities of voters, it said. Anyhow, there is still time for us to win back Americans, to ensure a blue wave. There's a whole lot of time. But that time requires that you have a narrative. That requires that your narrative isn't built on shallow ground. It requires that you have a narrative that people can believe. It requires that you are really going to go in there and do what you say you're going to do. It requires that people no longer believe, they're all the same. The fact that many people today will tell you that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are just about the same should tell the Democratic Party something. It doesn't have to tell the Republican Party anything, because we are living through Republican policies. Even after President Obama, we're still under a heavy load of supply-side economics. We're still under a heavy load of a type of voodoo economics, according to Bush #1. We're still under all these deregulation. Somehow deregulation has become good. There was a reason for regulation in the first place, to protect you. To protect people from the shortcuts that corporations do to maximize their income. That is what it's there for. So, folks, I do not buy it. I want you to check out another story that I did called 2 CNN stories that show how the 2018 blue wave could turn into a ripple. Anyway, that is the blog of the week, folks. What do you think? What do you think? Telephone number, call 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. And let me hear what your thought. Let me go back to 512. 512, you are on the air. Talk to me.
Can you hear me? Am I clear?
Yes, sir, you're clear.
Okay. Hey, Alberto, I love your show, man. Just want to give you some good feedback, man. I love that you're moving in real time, and that is huge
Thank you
for
very
us.
kindly, sir.
And what you're talking about. You're my pleasure. Can I just? I'm a millennial. I'm here in Houston. I'm a digital mind. Can I kind of just get my point of view and kind of trying to express my thoughts and not be too? I might sound a little fishy for the audience.
Look, first of all, this is politics
game.
done right. This is politics done right, sir. You have an open mic. As long as you don't say dirty words and as long as you don't demean somebody else, you can say whatever you want.
All love, man. Appreciate that. So, what people don't understand a lot of this. We live in a digital global economy now, right? This is the first time in the world we get to see everybody in seconds. Clinton didn't sign up with social media. I loved how you talked about social media platforms and the algorithms, how they actually move in real time in society. Donald Trump ran a campaign on Twitter and used 2 ads knowing that his base would, if you keep repeating yourself, marketing 101, they're going to start to believe it. As soon as he started sharing the fake digital ads, that's never ending. The bots, if you guys don't understand, they now can speak all 57 languages in real time. So they're using those. So back to the Republican point. They know that. Do you think Donald Trump would ever do live like you're doing now? Of course not. If you do, pick any conservative politician, any suit, not on the progressive side, not on the Democrat side, on the right side. They will not do that because there's 3 ways humans communicate: by hearing, seeing, and listening. That's it. As soon as you start getting that emotion, all 3, you're going to be very powerful. And the only way they know to slow this down, we all have live buttons. That's our voice, people. We're reaching out to people. And the only way they can slow this down is what? Net neutrality, things like that.
Exactly.
Slow down the speeds to the internet, i.e. Comcast, i.e. Verizon. I stood outside of Verizon for 6 hours. And by the way, I have Verizon because there's only 3 networks in the state. They know this. So you pay those suits. You give the tax cuts to the AT&T of the world, right? What are they really doing for people? Nothing. Slowing down the speeds, and I can go on and on and on, but this is your show, brother. And I just, I wanted to give my feedback.
And that is important information for folks to understand that I don't think the Democratic well, here's a problem, okay? I would say things like, I don't think the Democratic establishment understands what's going on, but the truth of the matter is I do think they understand what's going on, and I don't want to upset a sect of my Democratic base, but because the entire Democratic base are honorable, the leaders have a lot to be desired for, because I do think our leaders, many are true neoliberals, and they're really not much different than their Republican counterparts. Not the right-wing crazies, but the standard neoliberal Republicans. So, I mean, but that's a different show, and I don't want to get there. I want to bring another call in. Let's go to 619. Come on in.
Corporate pizza.
619. Come on in.
Hello, how are you? This is Keisha Thomas.
Keisha, how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing excellent. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming out and supporting, and that write-up was excellent. I mean, it took me a couple of days to process that, because that just put me into a whole different stage of being an organizer. And I just want to drop in and say I love the work that you're doing, and I just thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so
much. The Democratic Party, you are absolutely right, is in huge trouble.
Actually, Keisha, coming from you, let me tell you why that is important. Coming from you, this is why it's important. And this is what I tell. On Daily Coast, when I dropped the blog of the week today, I got a lot of knives in my back again. Okay? And one of the things that they said was, you just don't know what you're talking about. And I kind of reminded them that not only am I doing these shows, not only am I writing the blogs, but I'm in contact and with activists. I am an activist. I'm out there at the rallies. I'm out there talking to the people, including those Republicans and Trumpsters here in Kingwood. They're my friends. So I'm talking to people. I am in touch with folks like yourself, activists that are getting things done on the ground. Most of the people in the Democratic Party that sit down there with their consultants, they don't know what's going on. And that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
All the money is going to those folks. Look, folks, when you give your money to all these different democratic, the democratic establishment, that is what's happening. Look, I am a donor to the Democratic Party. It's all, I got to be honest with what I do. I'm a donor to the Houston, Harris County Democratic Party, and I will remain a donor to the Harris County Democratic Party. And I will give the Harris County Democratic Party no preferential treatment on politics done right, because I honor the party because I think it's the better of the people doing things. However, it is important to say this. You also need to support the independent media. You have to support the politics done right of the world, and not only the politics done right of the world, the Keishas of the world that are out there that have themselves on the ground. They are the ones who are going to bring the delta that is needed for a win for progressives. But you know what? Many people continue to only support these high-priced 6- and 7-digit consultants when the yo men, the yo women, the yo people are on the ground doing the job to try to make this a better country. Keisha, what else you got to say, my friend?
Well, I think that now, and I'm going to get a lot of knives for saying this, but I'm tired of not speaking the truth. People are going to have to be involved in the democratic process. Like, I'm no longer sitting by and accepting people saying that, oh, I don't know how to vote, I've never registered to vote, and I don't feel like voting. Because when your rights are being taken away, then you're going to really be sitting up there like, oh my gosh, I need a food stamp for my family and we don't eat certain things, and all of a sudden I've got this box. I'm going to look directly in their face and tell you, we have been speaking about this for the longest time. And now that we're behind the ball, you want to sit up there and demonstrate in the streets when you should have been in the voting box.
Exactly.
So we have responsibility from the ground up. And I mean, I am so on the ground that I'm no longer accepting the fact that people are saying, oh, I don't know how to vote or I can't vote. All you have to do is Google the information.
Keisha,
it's not hard, but it's what you want to do and what you choose to do.
Keisha,
I'm telling people that the Koch brothers. Mm-hmm.
I have some work that I'd like to ask you and other activists like yourself to do, because we are in all of this stuff together, right? We need to get, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I don't know how long ago you've been on the show, but Facebook and all these guys have throttled shows like this down. So we have problems having reach. We require that people like yourself and others in this sphere make this show known to other folks that within your own sphere. And the reason why that is necessary is because the intent is to keep these other people exactly where they are. Uninformed, not dumb. These are not dumb. Most people are not dumb, just uninformed. But with the work that you're doing, and if you look at every person in your community right now, you're in the Greenspoint area and so forth. Everybody's always on their cell phones. Everybody's always looking at some sort of a video. Make sure this feed gets into their thing, and make sure not only does the feed get into their thing, but sometimes they get it live. And I want those people who have never been politically active, I'd love for them to be calling into the show like how you just called in, so that we can talk. I want to hear them say what things are really bothering them, and I want to hear them tell me what it is that's going to take them to go out there and be a part of the body politic. And I'm not going to say, but I'm going to talk to them however I need to talk to them to get them to be involved. And to vote in the progressives that
we need to shoot a show down on the corner. That's the best way to do it. Well, people really need to see that this is something that's real. It's not intangible. And one of the things that I do is I bring these congressmen and congresswomen to my area so people could say, these aren't people that just are in Washington. These aren't people that you just see on TV.
Keisha,
these are tangible people that have to account to you because you were the voter and you were the taxpayer.
Keisha, we are at the end of the show, but here's the deal. I'm going to go 2 minutes over because I want to give everybody that's been on a quick closer. But here's the deal. Let's make that a template now. I can actually remote this show at some location of your choosing in the area. If you can gather some people, we'll put a show together at 3 o'clock any day of the week except Thursday. Okay? I'll leave that up to you.
All right. Well, let's work on it. I know that I got to... And we will work it out. I'll be in touch with you about that.
Excellent.
But I've got to skedaddle out here for an appointment. But thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so kindly. And that's your closer. Let's go to line 512 for a closer. 512, give me a closer. Quick, 15 seconds.
512-618. Okay. Appreciate it. Whatever you need on our end. Kind of speaking to the millennials and the digital minds and where all the consumer attention is on social media. anything you need, I can drop it for you, make sure people are aware of what's really going on.
Great. Thank you so kindly. Share this stuff and just you keep in touch with us as well, because you have good information, and millennials is where it's at right now as well, my friend. Thank you so kindly for calling. Let's go to 347. 347, give me a quick closer, 15 seconds.
Yes, Facebook is giving you a hard time. I've been blocked by Khan Academy for simply trying to correct some of their racist courses, Facebook, and a few other sites. It's an attack on individuals and organizations that seek to share open mind and open dialogue regarding these issues. Stay strong. Peace.
Look, thank you so kindly for calling in, and please remember to post those names that we spoke about earlier on our page. Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. I appreciate that so kindly. And folks on Facebook page, I didn't get to you as I completely as I normally got to you, but you can always call in, and I'm going to answer everything on that page as soon as the show is over. I want to thank you guys so kindly for being a part of the show. Please share. Please share, and also please remind folks that the only way we stay on air, the only way we can continue to do this, I started that too early, the only way we can continue to do this is if you are a part of the show. Become a subscriber to the show. By being a subscriber to our show at that link that you see below, you also get to egbertowillies.com ads free, and there are a whole lot of goodies there, and it's from $1. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. So please go ahead and check it out. Check out that link. Tell me what you think. And remember, this is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, and we are fighting to take the country, I don't want to say take the country back, to take the country where it must be. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES, that is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.